Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition, not another edition, another installment. This is the very first edition of Damn Entertainment News. Now, I probably would do the Alabante show exclusively pissed, but like I said, that's an exclusive, so you have to pay for that. But I decided to just start off Damn Entertainment News, and I'm here with my special guest once again, Teach Anita Jope. How you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing wonderful. And
Mm-hmm.
how are you?
Oh my goodness! I wish I could say how good I'm feeling right now, but I'd be lying to you if I say that, Cheech. But I put out a post. I'm gonna get down to it. I put out a post yesterday, which I'm not gonna show y'all yet, but I'm already gonna play this video. Y'all already know what this is gonna be about. We're gonna give our thoughts about what is going on right now. So here we go.
And at the hands of police in Minneapolis, the anger taking hold across thousands of miles right here in Southern California.
Minneapolis is bracing for more violence tonight, while local officials urge for calm. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes is live with more. Rob?
Yeah, those protesters in Minnesota leaving a path of destruction in their wake. Dozens of buildings were burned, damaged, or looted. Here in Los Angeles, a disturbing scene when dozens of people moved onto the 101 freeway and partially shut it down.
For two straight nights, Minneapolis has been wrecked with violent protests. The recorded killing of George Floyd by a police officer.
I can breathe. Please, the name of it.
Sparking an FBI investigation. The four officers involved in the arrest fired, though still no charges filed against any of them. Today, the president saying he hasn't spoken with Floyd's family yet, but that the White House is taking a deep look at what happened.
And I've asked the Attorney General, FBI, and the Attorney General to take a very strong look and to see what went on, because that was a very, very bad thing that I saw. I saw it last night and I didn't like it.
Meantime, anger flared up in downtown Los Angeles. Thousands of protesters packed the LA Civic Center last night. The crowd initially peaceful, but soon turning ugly as dozens of them blocked the 101 freeway and attacked two CHP vehicles.
Anytime you have masses that come together with anger, frustration, you're always going to have some that take advantage of the situation. We don't condone violence. We stand for aggressive, forceful demonstrations and protests, which, by the way, is legitimate.
Urlafari Hutchinson is the president of the Los Angeles Urban Policy Roundtable. He supports yesterday's Black Lives Matter demonstration, but says it's important to keep those protests from devolving into violent outbursts. LA Mayor Eric Garcetti echoing that sentiment this morning, tweeting, "Angelenos should follow their conscience in response to the pain and senselessness of this horror. I will always believe in expressing ourselves powerfully, peacefully, and safely."
Now, the officer seen kneeling on Floyd's neck has had 18 complaints filed against him during his career. He was disciplined in only 2 of those cases.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Click the A.
Well, as they say, I guess you know what that means. So, Teach, what do you think about seeing all these protests? Because I'm gonna go pull up the face. You know what? I'm not even gonna lead you on like that. Let me do my due diligence and show you. But while I'm doing that, Teach, how was your week after seeing all this happening? How are you coping with all this?
Well, one, I was deeply disturbed. I was deeply disturbed because I am George's sister. I am George's mother. George is my nephew. George is my father. George is every man and every role as a Black woman that can be fulfilled. So I watched that video in horror. And to say that I was shaken 2 times, 3 times, 4 times in that video. The 2 times when he called out for his mother. That was the ultimate call of distress. I remember in my own life when I was sick unto death, and I called out for my mother. There's a place that you can go in your life that you search everything that you know. And the one thing that brings you comfort without judgment, unconditionally, is your mother. In that filming, he called out for his mother, only for me to find out that his mother is deceased. So it hurt even deeper to see this man know that he was in a dangerous situation and he could not get out of it. When he called his mother, it shook me, physically shook me. So I was physically shaken because he is my baby brother. Him and my baby brother is the same age. He is the uncle to my children. So I have not been the same. And I want to say this. I have not had a full time to pull all of my thoughts together, but I will pull them together. But I want to say this, and it comes from that mother wit. When I was growing up, we were trained. My mother, my grandmother would emphasize to us to be responsible citizens in our community. They said one thing: if you do not start anything, there would not be anything.
There you go.
So what does this have to do with this situation? Because of his death, people are outraged. And that outrage is compounded with George Floyd, with the Ahmaud Arbery, with Breonna Taylor. And these were all within the last 2 weeks.
Crazy. Very. Yeah.
So the people, it's compounded grief, it's compounded rage. And I hear on my timeline, I've seen people saying, oh, well, black on black crime, we don't get this upset when black kill other blacks. And the first thing, that's a diversion. We're not talking about blacks killing other blacks. That's a different conversation. And it takes away from what we're looking at. But to even answer that statement, 9 times out of 10, when a black person kills a black person, that person is clearly identified, that person arrested, they're charged, and they go to jail.
Yep.
Case closed. Justice is served. So what we're talking about is a situation where a young man or lady may lose their life and there is no justice served. So to all those that like to bring up that argument, know that it is divisive and it's not necessary in this conversation. And that conversation can always be opened up at another time, because that conversation has no merit to stand on its own. You see? It has no merit to stand on its own. So whenever there's police brutality or a vigilante situation, they always want to bring in an argument that has no merit and cannot stand on its own. The case of police brutality, it can stand on its own. People are gathered around that conversation, giving all type of opinions and so forth and so on. But going back to what my mother instilled in us, if you don't start anything, there won't be anything. And a scientific way to say the same thing is energy is neither created nor destroyed. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So for the police officer, he created this negative energy. He created this energy of killing this man. And this is the third thing that upset me about watching the film. I don't know how closely you watched it. And I know I see things that other people just don't see. But if you watch the film closely, there were one, maybe two times that you can see that this man had an orgasm during the killing of this man. It was two times that he physically had that euphoria of an orgasm. What? Go back and watch it.
That's deep that you're saying that, Cheech. That's very deep.
Okay? He released himself during that killing. And I don't know, I know in S&M is probably a name for it. When you have that near-death experience or you think you have created death, and people do experience euphoria that way. But these are things that I want to bring into focus. It has been reported that he and Mr. Floyd worked at a nightclub during security. So in other words, they were co-workers. Okay? So they knew each other. So I think the investigation should be launched into what was their work relationship about. Because he had, and they find out any beefs between the two of them, he definitely had motive.
Yeah.
And I understand that he has now been charged with third-degree murder. But they investigate their private lives. I believe they will find out the motive. Right. And they should change the charge to first degree or second degree if they do a complete thorough investigation, because too many things are shaky and shady. And he derived too much pleasure from that event. And I watched it. The man was dead 3 or 4 minutes before the video ended. And he continued to hold him down.
Speaking of that, so with that being said, here's the post. And are you able to see it, Teach?
Yes, I can see it.
All right. So I put this post out, and I will read to each and every one of y'all if y'all having trouble seeing it. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. I don't get personal as much as I used to on here. With that said, when you post stupid, excuse my language, stupid shit like this, and you don't experience racism like Black people do daily, directly or indirectly, you are the problem. It's not your opinion, it's showing who you are. So the picture, because I actually saw this on my timeline where they got Dr. King up there. This is a protest. And then at the bottom, it says, this is a crime. And man, oh man, as you can see, there's a lot of comments. And there was still comments out there today. And I replied to a few of them. But one thing that I had to realize, definitely as I'm getting younger in age, nobody don't diss on my age, is that when you have a platform like this, you don't need to comment back. I got a platform where I could just say it out loud and you can come on the show and we can go ahead and hash this out. But Teach, it goes back to what you told me a long, long time ago. When you said that they're going to go to Dr. King because he was never shown a threat, but they will show Malcolm X as the villain because he's showing Black people how to stand up for themselves by any means necessary compared to nonviolent.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I see it more every day. And one thing people have to understand too, and this is where y'all really have to do a thing called research. I'm not sitting there saying I'm the best at it. Look, only thing I gotta do, you just look up, Google. Also, see that the source that you're looking at is credible sources. Like you hear about, Martin Luther King. He was a Republican. There is no proof that he was a Republican. But let's go on ahead. So let me see. This quote right here. MLK peacefully protested and was assassinated, so their argument is ignorant. Basically. So the point that I'm getting at is Dr. King, after the Civil Rights Bill was signed, he realized himself that, in his own words, I'm paraphrasing, but in his words, he said that I feel like I led my people into a burning house. Teacher, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that's correct.
That was in an interview that he did. He said, I felt like I marched my people into a burning house, meaning that integration. And one thing people don't talk about integration, she's going to get back on soon. One thing they don't talk about with integration is that you had a lot of Black folks that had their own businesses. They even had their own lands. But then when integration came in, you had the thing called, white folks coming in, buying up the businesses and, hey, I give you this amount of money for your job. Business. But at the same time, it set us back a whole heck of a lot. Let me put Cheech back in here. She's back. But realize what Dr. King, all of the things that he was doing, he didn't understand that this was going to set us back with integration. I'm not going to get too much on integration and all that stuff. I'm just bringing up that fact that when people bring up, well, Dr. King, he will be tearing up right now of what's going on, what's happening. No, he wouldn't. I believe he probably would have been like, I did all this and this is still going on. I think he would have been more of, I think he would have been more of understanding where Malcolm X was coming from.
Right. Towards the end of his ministry, he took on a different view and began to understand that it was not morality that was going to win over the evil of racism. So he had an epiphany. And if you watch the film about his speech on Vietnam, which they bury that speech, but you hear all about the I have a dream. Mm-hmm. But why the one on Vietnam, pull that one up and listen to the change in his rhetoric and verbiage. He understood then. But this is the problem. And I'm gonna use the Bible. I won't use the quote of the scripture, but I'll tell you what the scripture says. Paraphrasing, there's a scripture that talks about there will be roars and rumors of wars. And I remember I was like 12 or 13 years old. And in my mind, when I first read that or first heard that, I understood, I knew what a war was, but I could never understand what was a rumor of a war. But now we're witnessing the rumor of a war. With the number of police brutalities, the numbers add up to some small wars where there's declared war, and you know the two parties. With what we're seeing in the United States, it's a rumor of a war. We are at war, but we don't know it. We don't act like it. Okay? So you have an offense, the police and vigilantes killing African Americans. And their response is, from time to time, because it's not all the time, but after that volcano gets fed enough, it will erupt into a riot or a protest, and then it leads to sometimes an induced riot. So what we're looking at is a rumor of a war. A rumor of a war is simply an undeclared war that has casualties and is not clear. It's like, are we really at war, or is it isolated? And you will have those will make you think that each individual case of police brutality is an isolated thing and that they're not all related. And so it's like this ghost, you're fighting this ghost because, you know, George Floyd is dead. He was in Minnesota. Ahmaud Arbery, he was in another location. Breonna Taylor, she was in another location, and there are different police departments, different states that's involved. So they're not in it together. So you don't have one clear opponent. So it's a rumor. And because it's a rumor, the average individual is not armed and ready for battle. Because, I mean, you're military. You're trained to do battle, right? You're trained to understand your enemy's weakness, and you train how to strategize before you go into battle. Well, because this is a rumor of a war, they're not trained. They're having knee-jerk reactions because of the anger that has built up from so many injustices over the last year. We won't even go, 2 years back or 3 years back, just in the last 12 months. And I think this COVID-19 also, with the stay-at-home orders, I know my state, we're still under stay-at-home until June the 12th. And there's other states have been extended out. So people are pent up and all this stuff is happening. So it's compounded that they would react. Which brings me to this one idea. People are shaming or attempting to shame and demean a person's humanity. And what I mean by that is this. Our Creator gave us every emotion to fit every situation that we would encounter in life. And when a baby is born, you have joy. When you graduate from college, you celebrate. You're happy. When you get married, you celebrate. When a person dies, you're sad. When you're sick, you're concerned. So you have an emotion that fits every situation in life. And in this situation, there's rage and there's anger. And people add in the word hatred. Being mad or being angry does not mean that you hate. It just means that you're mad and you're angry.
Right.
Now, if you move to hate, that's a different category. But people like to lump it all together. But the bottom line is, going back to what I said, energy is neither created or destroyed. The police officer manifested a whole ball of negative energy that transferred to the community. So they're equal. When I said that, my mother said, if you don't start anything, it won't be anything. Had he not killed Mr. Floyd, there would be no protest. So he created that energy. And this is the result of that energy. So you cannot fault the people for being angry, being sad, being fed up, and whatever else they're experiencing. Which brings me to this. The Boston Tea Party. What do you know about the Boston Tea Party?
Well, they did dress up as what? Indians, and went and stole all the tea and threw it off the Boston Harbor, right? Am I getting there?
Right. They destroyed the product. They destroyed the economic sales of the shippers, the merchants from Great Britain. They did that, and what did it lead to?
War.
The American Revolution. Okay, so I posted on somebody's page that I see this protest as a win-win situation. And I'll tell you why. Because of the protests that went into rioting and destruction of property, this allowed me to come back and attempt to have some open dialogue about how they're going to move forward as a city. So this act opens up the conversation for all sides to sit down and to begin to talk. And then two, another thing that war states tend to enter into since World War I and II is that because a lot of the city was destroyed, it's going to bring in contracts to rebuild, which is going to bring a new economy to that city. So it may appear bad, it may look bad, but it's actually what was necessary to change the minds and the heart of the people in that particular community. And as I look at the video footage of the protests, I actually seen more white people than black people. So I don't know what the population, actual population numbers are, but I did notice that because when, I was just expecting to see more people of color or more African Americans.
Yes.
But I saw a very diverse crowd, a heavily diverse crowd. So that lets me know the whole city was moved, or a good portion of the city was moved to come out of their homes, to come into the streets, to say, this is not right. And if the brick and mortar had to be burnt down, it's equal to the life that was cut down. And this
Right.
opens up the conversation for us to look at diversity and how we as a city can mend our wounds. Because before this, nobody was listening. Life was going on as usual. But because of this, they have to take note.
And see, that was one of my points. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, even the mayor of the city said that the ashes represented the failed racial communication. So if the mayor, the police chief have an understanding, they are the leaders in this community, and they're going to be the ones that's going to open up the dialogue to mend that community.
I mean, they absolutely have no choice but to, which lead me to this question, Cheech. With my post that I put, it has a deeper meaning. With everybody who is saying this is why Kaepernick kneeled, which I believe. But right now, I'm just saying it as a point of how I see it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to put my views aside and just be that one person. This is how I see it. So, to lead on with the question to you, Teach, with the protest turning into rioting, is this a pent up frustration and anger where I did all of what you asked? You said, do it peacefully, go, freedom of speech, do it within the laws. I did all that. I still get killed. I still get shunned. I still don't listen. Do you think that this was just, like you said, that volcano that finally erupts and now you get what you get? Do you think we came to that point?
Well, I think, again, I think this was sabotaged. They're reporting that it was actually a police officer.
Ooh,
that actually
saw that report.
So that's sabotage. And once the flames go up, the people follow it because that's the turn that it took. And that's not the turn that the initial organizers of the protest wanted, but that's where it went. And it did not go there naturally. It went there induced.
Yeah.
So, so these little fine caveats, if it was Pookie and Ray Ray that threw the first firebomb, you say, okay, they're rioting. But if it was a police officer that threw the first firebomb and then everybody started acting behind that, it was induced and it's misleading. It makes me think of the series of films called The Purge.
I've been hearing that all this week. Not trying to cut you off, Teach. I've been hearing that for the past couple of days. They've been saying this is like a movie. And then when I start to see memes, I start to see not even Facebook posts, but Instagram posts of like, these people are not the people that they're thinking. These are undercover cops that's actually doing this, that is actually intensifying all these protests and all that stuff. Now, I'm not the one for like conspiracy theories. I've seen the videos for myself, and I'm sitting there. If you have like an earpiece, like if you see my earpiece right here, you know the earpiece that the cops have or security. He had that earpiece in, and when he got caught, he tried to walk away, and then he tried to arrest somebody. And then he realized, oh snap, I just blow my cover. It's right. It's getting very, sketchy out there, but I want to keep that in perspective too as well, Teach. But let's say that group that is like, I'm fed up, I'm done. Do you think that this is warranted? I think that's the best word I can use right now. Do you think that they are justified and saying, you know what, we're going to tear this mother effer down?
Well, like I said, if you don't start anything, it won't be anything. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Somebody hit you in, on your jaw. Either you're gonna be knocked out or you gonna come back up swinging.
Right. I got you.
So it's a knee-jerk reaction because it's built up. It's built up. It's built up energies that there is no justice. Like we can go back to Botham John. I'll speak for myself. I was outraged that people in his immediate family embraced his killing. I was outraged because if it was my son, and we just went through with this with my baby brother, I can't have any sympathy for you. My brother is dead. We will never laugh again. He will never see his grandchildren. And you decide to kill him? I can't allow your negative energy to rest upon me. I cannot wash away your sins. I cannot allow you to have a good night's sleep. I cannot remove, if you have any terrors from your deeds because you created that negative energy. It stays with you. And what I'm saying is, I'm getting to this topic of African Americans forgiving their trespassers. And my statement is, in my brother's case, if you want forgiveness, ask him. He is the one that is deceased. I will not speak on his behalf. So when you create that negative energy, you need to ask the person's life that's been snuffed out. Right. Now, if you can do that,
you're a bad man or bad woman.
Right.
Shoot. Dang.
So in the case of Botham John, for his brother to, be in tears to this woman, that said, my brother's life did not matter.
Yeah, basically.
That said, go ahead and kill him. It made me start thinking, well, maybe he had a crush on this girl and she chose his brother. And maybe that's why he was all in tears, because he's like, dang, when you get out, it's me and you, girl, it's on. It made my mind go somewhere else with this.
Oh my gosh, Teach, you read my mind, because I was like, that looked like a little bit of, romance or a thing going on here, how he hugged her like that. Could I give you a hug? And not only did his brother hug her, the judge, ladies and gentlemen, the judge, she literally came down there, gave her a pep talk about turn your life over to Jesus Christ, and handed her a Bible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where do they do that at? And then I had to remind myself, oh, this is America. And the sad thing is, all right, it just, I'm happy that you brought up that case, because I think that's extremely perfect, because even with George's wife, she's falling for that too, as well, as she's sitting there saying, I forgive the police officers and all that stuff, and nobody don't need to go out and protest. And I'm sitting there like, your husband is dead. He's never coming back. And you're going to just sit back and just tell everybody, oh, it's okay. It's all right. I understand that is your sibling. I understand that was your significant other. That was your heart. That was your soul. But when he gets, or even she, dies in basically cold blood, just like that, I'm not sitting there passing on no forgiveness whatsoever. I believe Teach made a great point that they're not here to say if he or she is forgiven. I think them not being here, you already got your answer. It already says 1,000 words. And people fail to understand that. And then I think also these cases get way too religious. Well, you know, God spoke to me and he said that, you know, I should forgive, or this was coming. I'm like, no, stop. Let's look at the truth, not the facts, but what the truth of the matter is.
See, first thing, you mentioned Mr. Floyd's wife. Who is his wife? She was his girlfriend. And then it was bumped up to fiance. Now you're saying wife, and I wonder, when did all this happen? Before, after he died?
This is
okay. When did this happen? Because when it first broke out, it was his girlfriend. Now, then it went to fiance. Now she's married to him. But this is for me, she seemed disingenuous. Yeah. Something just was not right about her presentation. And it made me think, does she have a life insurance policy on him? And if she does, how much is she due to collect?
Right.
And which leads me, and now this is all, I can put this totally in unsubstantiated thoughts. Totally my opinion based on a few posts, which is not, I'm not saying it's an expert opinion. It's just me, Joe Blow person, coming up with the possible scenario. First thing, did he have a life insurance policy? And if so, is she the beneficiary? Then second, how long or what was the relationship between the police officer and Mr. Floyd, seeing that they were co-workers? Okay. What was this a three-way relationship? Was she dating the police officer and dating Mr. Floyd? And they came up with a scheme. Hey, I'm gonna give him, conflicting story. I'm gonna give him this fake check. They're gonna call the police on him for passing or signing a fake check or a bad check. And then a few days later, it turned out to be a counterfeit $20 bill. So what is it? Did he present a fake check or did he present a fake $20 bill? But anyway, it just sounds like a setup to me. It sounds like one of these Lifetime movies.
Yeah, I know. It's like at the end you find out that it was all part of the plan. Right.
So I see it as a Lifetime movie that she was going with both of them. But because he doesn't have any parents, he seemed to be detached from a community. We can cozy him up, get some life insurance policy on him, set him up. We call the police. You're the arriving officer. And in the role of duty, you can take him down. You get the money, and we can sail off, to I don't know, Idaho or somewhere. I don't know, but this is what it's making me think. And like I said, this is totally conjecture. I have no evidence of this, but the way she presented herself and the way he had an orgasm twice while he was killing him made me think what was going on in his mind, and the fact that they were co-workers. It was not like this police officer was coming upon a stranger.
Dang, Teach. Why you got to take it so deep, okay? Good grief. Like, dang, now you got me thinking over here now. Now I got to be like, yo, that makes sense. And we do not got the tinfoil hats on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. For all y'all conspiracy theories out there, we don't do conspiracy theories. Nothing but the truth, our truths, okay? Just putting that out there. But for me, with this whole entire case, this is, okay, so I think I should explain myself, and teacher, you can stop me if I'm going too far. Or you stop if I need to be stopped.
Okay.
I'm going to explain myself why I put that post up. In the words of Nene Leakes, I said what I said. Because ever since this stuff started to happen, I try to stay away from, I respect people's statements. Yes, I said it, statements, not opinions, okay? I'm going to keep saying this till I'm blue in the face, and that's going to be shocking if you see this black face turn blue. When you on Facebook, or like me, who got this show, and I say what I feel and how I feel, it's no longer my opinion. If it's just me and Teach having a conversation, and she believes that freaking, Chevrolets are the worst cars on the planet, I know where she's coming from. But if she says that to everybody on this show around the world, people will freaking criticize her, and she can't fall back and say, well, that's my opinion. She would deserve much of the roses as well as the rocks being thrown at her. And people have to understand that. So when I put out that post, I was like, I don't want to get into a Facebook back and forth. I won't even call it an argument. It's basically what it is, going back and forth. So seeing these protesters going out here and destroying their community, let me ask you a question. What make it their community? Think about it. What makes what they destroyed theirs? So Target, everybody feeling sorry for Target. Oh my gosh, they looted a Target. Oh my goodness, sorry. Teach, come on, give me the tissues. Target, oh my gosh.
Target is covered by good insurance.
My point exactly, even though that's my girlfriend's favorite store. Hopefully she's not watching, I love you. But my point is this. Is Target black owned? And I know all y'all gonna be like, oh, Morris, you're making it racial. I believe everything deals with race. I know Teach got a different view on that, but I feel like when it comes down to this, it always got to deal with race. And for people who don't believe that, once again, you are the problem. So when I seen Target getting vandalized and getting looted, I didn't feel bad. I didn't. But which goes back to the point that I was making. What make it their community? What black businesses did they have there that they talk? The only business that they were talking about was Target. And for everybody, even on this post, I had a few people sitting there saying, I had one that sit there saying, well, destroying your community ain't gonna do nothing. And I said back, I said, okay, what have Target given back to that community? What have these businesses given back to the community? Did they supply jobs? Did they actually help out the economy in that freaking community? Did it help people who are struggling in that community find a better way? Scholarships, I mean, your mind can just go all over the place with what that business or businesses could have done for that community. I mean, y'all have to use a thing called common sense. So when I'm hearing, and then y'all made it more about the businesses rather than why are they doing it? Why are they looting? Why are they rioting? Why are they protesting?
That is a way to demean or belittle their participation in this rumor of a war. They're saying they don't have a side. They shouldn't fight back. Why hurt the businesses in the community? Well, the thing is like I said, under that rumor of a war, nobody believes that there is a war going on. Because definitely it's not designed the way you would interact in a military strike. But these are average, everyday people who don't have the AR-17s and the rocket launchers and so forth and so on. And so they're fighting with what they have.
Yeah.
And these are the casualties of war. Tell me, and we'll go back to the Civil War, when the North, or Abraham Lincoln specifically, signed the Emancipation Proclamation and freed the enslaved Africans, they became contraband. Now, you're military. What is contraband?
Oh my gosh.
Contraband are the spoils of war. They are the property or items that you can get from the other side. So the citizens are taking their contraband from the other side of this rumor of a war.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what that is. And without it, I mean, these are the casualties of war. The first casualty was George Floyd. The second casualty for the other side were the stores.
Yep.
So in the Civil War, the North secured the contraband, which were the freed enslaved Africans. And they got them out of the Southern territory. Well, actually, they kept them there, and they made them work, do the same job, and actually provided a little bit of pay for them as a contraband versus being a slave. So I see it as a war. And you have casualties in war. So I don't have more sympathy for bricks and mortar than I would have for the life. If I could roll back the tape, Mr. Floyd would not be dead.
Right.
And you could go to Target tonight.
Right. I mean, come on now. You telling me now 5 miles down the road you ain't gonna bump to another Target. That's like having a Walmart getting burned down. You know, just a walk away, you're gonna see a super center Walmart.
Right. 3 miles away.
3 miles away, or like another McDonald's. Like, oh my gosh, they burned down my favorite McDonald's. Yeah, they make the same damn burger like 10 meters away.
Right.
Like,
now let me just add another caveat to this Lifetime movie we're talking about. Okay. So the name of the officer is Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin is okay. Okay, I can't even get this out right.
I'm there with you. I'm right up there with you.
Okay, the fourth officer, To Chow or Thao, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, is married to Kelly Chauvin. So that makes To Chow and Derek Chauvin brother and brother-in-law. So they're brothers. He married his sister.
Wow. Wow, I did not know that.
So we need to figure out who this girlfriend, fiance, wife is. And I don't know how big this town is, but it's starting to sound like a small town where everybody know everybody.
Everybody.
It's starting to look like that. So this is his brother-in-law. So he was standing there watching him. He was watching his brother in full act. Knowing, I mean, wow.
Ain't that something?
See,
I didn't even know that, and that's not even a rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. That is truth. Not facts, truth. But I mean, and you made a great point where, like, if the looting and all that stuff, if you so stressed out about the looting, why don't you see why they doing it? And then come to find out that both the officers were brother-in-laws. That right there makes it even more, not even sketchy, but scary for me. But then you gotta think, if he wasn't related to that other officer, you think he would have reacted the same way? Probably. He probably would have let it happen, could have just let him just kill him and all that stuff. So where should the real attention go to? That's what you should be asking yourselves. Teach, I already know the answer you're going to give, so I'm just going to ask you the question anyway. My rhetorical ass. Where should the attention really be focused on? Who should be the ones?
The attention should be one to really doing a thorough investigation, finding out how all these people are tied up together and looking behind the story of, oh, he passed a bad check. Oh, no, it was a counterfeit 20. Next, they'll say it was a stolen debit card. You know, they're coming up with too many lies to tell what supposedly happened.
Right.
I think if they, had a real good investigator that would look into these personal angles, they would really come up with something. That's my gut feeling. I'm not an investigator. I don't fight crime, so I could just 100% be way off. But nevertheless, I think if that would be done, they could come up with something else and come up with better charges once they got this information. And then also, I think now that the city is destroyed, the conversations going forward, how do we govern ourselves as citizens of this community, is primary importance. And if you look, given the United States, when the Civil War happened, the North and South was totally opposed to one another. And it was Lincoln's vision to keep us together. And if you remember, once the war was over, there were steps that had to be put in place to reunify the nation. There were oaths that the various states that defected the Union had to take and agree to in order to properly take their place back into the Union. So since we have this breach of conversation and it's all out there, now it's time to sit down, settle down, and plot out the way forward. So I don't see I really don't see the looting as a bad thing. I think it's a necessary evil, if you will, in order to bring that community to a place where they can begin to talk and hash out their problems and their differences.
And see, and that's the point that I was leading to when it came to the looting and all that stuff. And people don't understand this been going on since America became America. Like when you brought up the Boston Tea Party. Okay. Anytime a football team or a college team wins a game or wins a championship, what happens in the streets? And you hear definitely the political right. They saying, "Oh my gosh, why you got to bring that up? People out there, kids having fun." But if, like you say, if you see Pookie and Ray Ray and John out there looting like they're doing right now, look at those thugs. Why are they destroying their communities? And my question is, what makes it their community? If you're getting killed in your own community, you're getting treated as a thug, you get treated like a savage in your community, guess what? That is not your community. Just because I live in the community doesn't make it my community. If I know just by walking outside that my chances of me getting shot, getting pulled over, or getting killed is almost close to at least 90%, that's not my community. I just happen to live in the community that my freaking risk of me dying is 90 freaking percent. That's an issue.
Yeah.
That's an issue. When you sit there and say this is my community, and I say I want this to happen and need this to happen, and it don't happen, what make it my community? If it was my community, anything I say, it will happen or be in the works of happening. I want to see even in the works. People will take my word and they will make it happen. If I said that I want, let's say, I want the roads to be repaid, I know it's not going to happen on that day, but guess what? They already got the freaking trucks out and they are already paving the road. That's when you know that's your community, is when you say it, it happens. But when you sitting there constantly saying, I don't like how the police is policing this community and nothing happens, it's not your community. You just happen to live in a community where they don't give a damn about you.
Right.
And it goes back to survival. Now you're in survival mode. I can't even get out of my damn house to like at least sit down and enjoy the fresh air without knowing in the back of my mind that one police officer could just drive by and he could see something that's so wrong, or he probably might mistaken my, even though I don't smoke, but I'm saying mistaking my cigarette as a blunt. And there's laws against that, against smoking a blunt. Or my kids, which go back to that, what's that one kid that got shot in 15 seconds because they thought he had a gun, but it turned out to be a play gun, a water gun.
Tamir Rice.
Yeah, Tamir Rice. My kids out there playing with the water guns, and the police officer thinking, oh, snap, they got guns, and shoots both of them. Or Karen, you got the Karens out there now. Karens are at work as we speak that sit there and just think just because you have a grill at the freaking parks, oh, you can't have this here. So you got them too as well. And just hearing that, it just took me back to Rosewood. That movie right there basically sums up what is going on right now. With that one white woman, when she sit there and she lied that she got raped by a black man when it was a white man the whole entire time, and destroyed that whole entire community. Hold up, wait a minute.
The whole entire, she was the community woman. All the men had her.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, Teach. They also looted that community too. Oh my gosh. Hold. What was another black community that they destroyed that's well known, but they trying to keep it on the road?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
who got their whole entire communities destroyed militarily from the government. Destroyed. Even veterans who thought, hey, I served with him. Let me go out in my uniform. Went out in the uniform and got shot dead. And what did they do? After they ran off, well, killed the majority of the black population or had them running, they looted their stuff.
They sure did.
So what I'm saying is, don't sit there just because you see John and Pokey and all of them looting in a community where they've been saying this for years. Bad enough, y'all put us in this freaking community and how it is. Y'all made it this way. We're just trying to survive. We're not living. We're trying to survive. And when you do this mess, it's going to come a point where, guess what? Now I'm going to react. It's all in a reaction. It's reactionary. It goes back to what you're saying, Teach. It's that knee-jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start to see the numbers of casualties grows on your side, oh, now it's a big concern. It's been happening for decades, centuries. And if you want to tell people that and get them kept on the game, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it, or they know it's true because it is true. If we're going to sit there and tell like it is, we got to tell the truth. And it just don't start now. It starts way back then. And that's one of the biggest reasons I put up that damn post. Because it's easy, like I said, it's easy to say, oh, I see racism. Yes, racism is going on. But what are you doing? This is a person that is not getting fully affected by racism. And it's not only
why do you always have to play the race card? I'm not playing the race card. That's your deck.
Right.
But anyway, I wanted to ask you a question. Jim Crow. Do you believe that we are currently in the Jim Crow era?
How can I put it? I think we're in Jim Crow's cousin's era, because Jim Crow was more open back in your days. Here now,
back in my days.
Yeah. Hey, I can't believe I put that on Teach. My bad, Teach. I'm sorry, but you knew what I was getting at. But
no. That was well before me. But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, we're in Jim Crow's cousins era. I think we're in Bubba Gump. I give ready to say the T word, but I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna give you a hint. He's president. I say we in the Bubba Gump laws, because it's happening. It's like, how can I put it? It's like that one person that think they don't have cancer, but they have cancer, and it's spreading all over their bodies.
Okay.
And it's a discussion that they don't want to have with the doctor. And okay. I put the doctor as us black folks. I'm gonna keep it real.
Okay.
Us black.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that we're living in the Black Codes era?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. People just think just because you don't hear it, that it's not happening. That if you just don't bring it up, it's not true. It's true. I mean, you see it with the police every day. I mean, there's no ifs, no ands, no buts. I don't give a damn if you got a black conservative that look me right there in the face. Well, there's some good cops. There's some good cops. But guess what? They're on code. No matter if they come out, because I already saw a few videos of cops calling out these police officers. That's great, no. But y'all are on code at the end of the day. Y'all are not going to come out and y'all not going to sit there and be like, hey, they deserve the death penalty. I don't want to hear your videos. I want to see y'all literally hold these police officers or hold your freaking precinct accountable. But go ahead, Teach.
Okay. Well, you know, the black codes were created to keep freed Africans in a slave-like state. And in order for the black codes, which was a list of laws that covered everything, the movement, the life, what kind of life you could have, who you could marry, who you could not marry, the contracts that you would enter into, could not enter into, were governed by the black codes. And what people don't realize is that when you see the Karens calling the police in Central Park or questioning the authority a person has to use a gym, these are all part of the black codes. In the black codes, in order for them to be effective, every white citizen was charged with knowing the codes and not breaking the codes. So, in the case of the gym access, I think it was earlier this week.
Yeah,
a man asked a black man did they have the authority to be there. Under the black codes, if you saw a black man, quote unquote, where he was not supposed to be, as a white citizen, if you did not call the police and it was found out that you knew about that black person's trespass, you could be fined and or jailed. $500 fine or 90 days in jail. Okay. So it caused the white community to be very proactive in terms of watching the life of African Americans during that time. And so what we see is a resurgence of the black codes.
I see that.
White women, white men calling the police for anything that they think can get that person in trouble. Now these calls have not, none of them have been legitimate. And I really thought that there was a law on the books that if you called the police and it was a non-emergency, that you could indeed get a ticket and charged with a misdemeanor. But it seems that if that is the case, they're not enforcing it. So I just wanted people to realize what they were seeing when you see repeatedly white women or white men questioning your residency, demanding in some authoritative way to see your key pass, or do you live here? Do you have any rights to be in this building? Is that your child? And so forth and so on. And so that's what made the black codes have life or have validity, is that the white people were charged or instructed to follow these codes and implement them, because the police at that time, where there was no police, did not have the manpower. So say, for instance, in the case of a black man married to or courting a white woman, if any white citizen knew of that relationship, it was up to them to bring it to the justice and make it public. And if they did not, they would face getting the ticket and or time in jail. So what is the normal response? I'm not going to jail for you. I'm not going to pay a fine for you. Yes, I'm going to tell on you and that person. Okay. Under black codes, a black man could not enter into a contract unless there were two white men to service it or sign on it. And then he can't even get a copy of it, but it's his contract. And so that's going a little off topic, but I just wanted to bring into focus why, a possible reason why the white community feel it is their duty to call the police on a black man or a black woman if in their mind something is not to their liking.
Which lead me to this question I want to ask you. You mentioned the mayor of this town. What do you think? Do you think he's taking the right approach in handling these protests? Well, it's not even a protest no more. These riots. Do you think he should do much more?
I only seen him that one time, and what he said, he seemed like he was shaking and he was scared. It seemed like he was thoughtful, and I think he addressed the situation properly when he said that the ashes that we are seeing is all the built up frustration from not having justice. I think that statement said everything about his thoughts on the matter and looking out. Okay, this is my city. How do I move forward with my people? I think he said that, made that statement. I think so. But like I said, I only seen that one clip, and I don't know him. I don't know his practice, but he sounded like he was on the right track in terms of setting the tone and pace on how to go forward.
Or I think it's more of a sense of the chickens are finally coming home to roost, in the lines of that. I really do feel that way, and I think the mayor saw the writings on the wall, and I know he knows that he can't put himself in a position of Black people of understanding what we go through, but I think he's embracing that conversation. Like, okay, now I really gotta sit down and listen to him. We got to get the chiefs. We got to get the rest of the governing body to actually sit down and listen to these people of like, how do we get this right? We shut up. We're taking notes. We're listening. That's the feeling that I get, and it should be a big example for not only just men, but women as well. I don't care if they're Republican, even though it's going to be tough as hell for Republican. Democrat, even though they can talk in your face and they still won't do anything. But now to a point where now they just going to have to, take their steps from this mayor, actually shut up, sit down and listen. Sit down and listen. It's like this. If you never experienced the things that I have experienced and I've been telling you about it and nothing happens, and now I'm overreacting, yeah, maybe it's time for you to understand where I'm coming from now. And you sit down, shut up. And it goes back to the post that I sent and the comments that I was getting, which really blew my mind. Then some, I expected it from them. And that's why I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put this final comment, and I'm gonna save the rest of my. I'm gonna keep this same energy for tomorrow, which is today, and then get your take on it, Teach. But this mayor here is doing what everybody should be doing. I don't want to hear no more when this stuff happening, because this is, and then also you have to understand it's not just happening here in Minnesota. They already got it going on not Louisiana. They got going on in freaking Louisville because it was a killing out there of somebody by the police.
Breonna Taylor.
Mm-hmm. And then you got freaking California. Then you got New York.
Atlanta too. I just seen a post about Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah, and they had 2 protests here in Michigan, one in Detroit and one in Ann Arbor. But they've been quiet and peaceful. But in Louisville, they said 7 people got killed. So I don't know what that's about. But I want to come back to something. I just looked up the population of Minneapolis, and it's 63% white, 18% African American. So that is why we've seen such a large population of whites in the protests, because truly the blacks are the minority in that particular city. What I would like to know is this particular situation is coming up, but is this a constant situation happening in Minneapolis? Because if it's something that, this is like the 9th time this has happened, or the 10th time this has happened, I can see why those residents would really be up in flames, and how, it was just a smoldering on fire, and the Floyd incident made it erupt or go into full blaze. So that type of background information is something that we would need to know. But as a resident of my state, and just seeing this from state to state to state, not necessarily so much in one state, but that is recurring around the entire country, would be reason enough for it to rage, the rage to overflow.
Well, Teach, I'm sorry, Sheik, go ahead.
And I'm just, I've been in several discussions, and everyone says unity is the answer. Unity is the answer. And I don't think there's a lack of unity, because everybody poured out into the streets, and now different states are pouring out into the streets. So unity is there. Yeah. What's not there is a clear plan of action, that if this particular thing happens, what can we do as a community? We don't have a plan, because we're rallied by the emotions. We're rallied by the loss of life. That unifies us. But how do we move forward
from there to not let this happen? The point is not for this to happen again. And that when it happens again, we know what to do, and that the people that done it deserves to get their just due. They deserve to go to jail for many buku years. Honestly, I think police officers should get 20 years to life. I mean, in the military, if we done something that heinous, we're not seeing the light of day. We going to Fort Leavenworth, and we lucky to at least see some sunshine. But the same should go for the officers as well. But that's just coming from me. But Teach, are you ready for a segment that we haven't done in a week?
Sure.
It's time to dissect this video. So let me go ahead and put it up here. So this video you're about to see, Cheech, and that we all about to see, is my girl. There you go, Alan. Welcome to the show. This is Lovely T. Now, Lovely T, she is basically she's a YouTuber that do a lot of celebrity news, and she gives her thoughts on a lot of things. She's actually from what we are talking about right now. She's actually from the city. So she had a couple words that for me, I had to clutch my invisible pearls, but I'm gonna let you watch. And we're not gonna watch the whole entire thing, Cheech. I just want to get to like the important parts. And just like with the last video, just tell me when you want to stop.
Okay.
Ready?
All right.
There you go. All right, so let me set the scene for you real quick. So she actually was filming the protest, and then her and her friend saw that it was about to intensify, and she was like, yo, I gotta go. So that's the scene.
My homeboy's calling. I'll be back. Yeah, that was crazy. We're safe. I just wanted to come on live, let you guys know we're safe. I have my friend. She's good. I'm great. She was like, come on. No, like a few of my media friends have flown in from Atlanta. So they're all here in the Twin Cities. So we were going to Minneapolis to go meet up with them because they went to the big meeting that they had at the headquarters with the mayor, the FBI, about everything that's going on. So they were there recording footage, and they're going to give me some footage that they have recorded. Right now, people are really upset because they haven't heard anything about the charges. So as we're going out there, because there was supposed to be another protest in downtown. So he wanted to go film some of that as well, but he wanted to know where to go. So that's why we were heading, to go get him and go take him to where it was going to be at. And so as we're driving on the freeway, we see all this smoke. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I already knew St. Paul had been looted and all that shit was going on, but we didn't expect them to start, like these fires that you could see from the freeway. So we pulled over, like, what the hell is going on out here? And so as we got closer, that energy was crazy. That like, it feels like the purge.
I'm gonna stop right there. See, Teach? Telling you, everybody been saying that, including her, that it feels like it's from the purge.
Right. Because if you remember in the movie, they had a plan B. They wanted people to act a certain way. But if they did not act that certain way, they had their special forces to go in and do what the people wouldn't do. And I don't remember. I think this was Purge number 2. I don't think I've seen Purge number 1. But anyway, whichever purge it was, I remember that they asked them were they angry enough to kill somebody. But when they got to the night of the purge, they turned into a big party. Nobody wanted to kill anybody.
Yeah, I think I know. I think it's part 3.
Okay. And then they had their special forces to come in and start killing people.
Which were Nazis, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. And so and that's what I felt when I found out that it was the police officer that started that first fire. That's what I felt. So yeah, it's like the purge, and it's unfortunate because it's so convoluted now. We'll never know if had that police officer not thrown that started that fire, whether or not it would have continued to be a peaceful protest.
There you go. But let's go ahead and continue.
Couldn't take it. I felt anger in that crowd. I felt sadness. I felt bad for the police. I felt bad for the people. My energy is just so fucking all over the place. you know, and once that other crowd was coming from the other side, those other agitators, I said, I'm done. I'm cool. We were only there for like 3 minutes. I had just turned on my live, so I hadn't been there for, you know, hours and shit. We were only there for like 3 minutes. But once I started feeling the crowd, the energy shift, I'm out. I'm out. You know, I didn't come here for that. We just stopped to kind of see what the hell was going on in that area. And that is literally right across from my high school. That is where I went to high school, in that area.
Okay, stop here.
So, I mean,
Stop here.
when I...
Look at what she said. She felt that energy shift.
Mm-hmm.
And those other agitators. See? The raw emotions, sad, angry, and everything. But when that energy shifted, that was her intuition saying, something is not right here. Let's get out. Okay? That was that fire that was started. That changed the whole dynamics. See? That's it.
Dang, Cheech. Everything you've been saying is coming to tuition.
Tell you, it's bad enough the South Side, where my childhood was at. Now St. Paul is fucked up. This is where my teenage years were spent. So it's like I'm getting it from all angles. I'm getting it from all angles right now. My childhood home destroyed. Teenage home destroyed. The Midway was like such a big part of our teenage years. Anybody who went to fucking St. Paul Central, that shit is gone. That shit is gone. I'm seeing pictures that people are sending us on Snapchat. They looted everything. Now they're setting fires. There's about to be complete and total anarchy. And all I can do is pray for my city. Like, I've cried enough tears. Like, I've cried. I just already had an emotional breakdown. It's like, I don't even know if I can cry anymore. Like, I'm so fucking drained right now. Like, I cannot believe this is like what's going on. All we can do is just sit here and pray. This is like, I feel like I'm in a movie, you guys. Y'all don't understand. This is like The Purge. Come on. This is like some predictive programming. What are the chances that we're all having to wear masks because of the pandemic? But then in the movie The Purge, everybody had on masks and shit.
Oh my
and did you
God.
see the mask that the people had?
I was waiting for you to tell me to stop.
Oh no, you didn't have to stop. You didn't have to stop, but I made that note. You know, I didn't remember that part of the movie because I didn't like it.
Yeah, they were all, everybody had their own unique mask. She's right about that. Nobody in the Purge who participated did not go out without a mask. Everybody, because majority of the people in the Purge were in gangs, and they all had their own unique mask or unique attire, but they always wore masks.
I had on the scariest mask. I have on a fucking medical mask. Motherfuckers got masks with fangs on, and I felt like I was in a fucking movie, you guys. Like, that shit was crazy, yo. I'm just like, I have family all over the Twin Cities. The police burnt down the auto zone. Nobody's seen that. Yeah, it's definitely predictive programming, you guys. Like, I'm mentally just drained. We just been stressed, and you know, everybody's worried about their families, and the resources right now in the city are strapped. Okay, which I don't realize about the Twin Cities. Let me explain it to y'all from somebody who's here, not these mush mouth people who are just flying in. Usually when you have a major metropolitan city, the next city is like 4 hours away. So like, let's take LA, the next major city, let's just say San Diego. That's about 4 hours away. That's how it is in most cities. In Charlotte, Raleigh's about 4 hours away, right? In Minnesota, we have 2 major metropolitan cities. The only thing that divides us is the river. They're 10 minutes apart. So you have St. Paul on one side of the river, you have Minneapolis. These are 2 major cities right now dealing with rioting, looting, fires. I feel like we're at a breaking point. We're trying to put out fires in South Minneapolis. Now we're having to put out fires in St. Paul. People are fucking shit up for no reason. And, you know, like I said, I get it, but miss me with the shit with everybody who's not here trying to tell me, oh, black folks are tired. We're all tired. We're all tired of the killings. But it's very easy for y'all to say that from the comfort of your home in Cali, in New York, in Atlanta. We have to live this. We have to drive by these places. Once everybody leaves and the media goes back and the story starts to die down and the next hot topic is what's viral, we still have to live with this. We still have to figure out what the fuck is about to happen in our community because they burnt it down because they're mad. I understand the anger, and y'all can call me a coon and all that other bullshit. Feel free. But this is not the way to go. People are literally destroying stuff just to destroy stuff.
I have to stop her on that one. I'm going to tell you why. I understand, you know, when you're in the shit, excuse my language, when you're in the shit, somebody that's not in the shit can't tell you what is actually going on. So I get that. But she also have to understand that if you're is a difference in saying that, you know, what is this going to prove? It's not going to prove anything. You're destroying your own community. Once again, goes back to what I said earlier. What makes it your community? Because you could have been like, all the things she was saying at the aftermath of like, what do we do now? She's not bringing back to the point when they were sitting there saying, why are the cops still killing us? Why are they not getting prosecuted? Why are we being hunted down like freaking animals? Why are we getting treated like savages? She should be saying more about that rather than, once again, eyeing on the looting. It seems like as far as she's talking, it's more of like, oh my gosh, you're destroying you're destroying where I used to grew up at, or where my homies used to chill and all that stuff, and we got nothing. It seemed like it's boo-hoo, you're ruining my freaking childhood, my teenage years, my mid-20 years. With all her saying that, I don't hear anything about what your community is going through, what they've been trying to say for the longest time, and you're just focused on two things of looting's not the answer and you're destroying my childhood. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm coming a little too hard.
No, you're right, because she's focusing on that rumor of a war that she doesn't believe is going on. See, when you don't believe that there's a war, you don't understand the casualties of war. So she's talking about the casualties when a war takes place, there's things are decimated. The ground, the land, the cows, whatever is in the way will get destroyed. Mm-hmm. So she does not understand that there is a war going on and there's casualties on both sides. So when a person doesn't understand that they are at war, they tend to focus on
the destruction,
not what caused the problem, but the contraband. They're concentrating on the contraband. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's sad, because that takes away from the humanity. That takes away from the right to have rage, right. The right to be angry. You have a right to be sad. You have a right to go through all of the range of emotion. Like she's talking about, she said she had a range of emotions, but when that energy shifted, when did that energy shift? When the other agitators came and the fire started. That's when the energy shifted. That wasn't the original energy. So for me, it comes back to failure to understand that police brutality is an act of war. Derek Chauvin, the police officer, he declared war on the city of Minneapolis. That's what he did. Understand the magnitude of what he did. You remember I said earlier, he created that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it. When he killed him, he declared war. And the result is everything's up in flames, and it looked like a war went through there. That's what he did. And that's what people have to understand. War was declared, and the war is being fought.
Mm-hmm.
And so neighborhoods are gone. Stores are gone. Things that you remember are gone because war. You have to balance it out. Everything has to be in balance. And it's out of balance to say, oh, bad person, you should be able to control your anger.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to control and stifle the way you feel.
Right.
But yet, and I put this on my post, you tell me what I shouldn't do, and these incidents have happened so many times, yet you have not told me what I should be doing. You have not shown me the plan. You
Mm-hmm.
have not shown me the plan at all.
Mm-hmm. And you see how she jumped to that? Like this is all pointless, but what are we gonna do after this?
Mm-hmm.
It's like this man is not dead. Like we're just gonna forget that this man was basically the final straw of police brutality that we can take. That you're gonna forget that. Let's say his family started this right. I'm just saying. Let's say his whole entire family said, you know what, we burned this motherfucker down. We've been telling y'all this from years and years and years. Y'all didn't want to listen. Guess what? You're gonna listen to us now. So once again, it's funny she used the cliche, it's easy for you to say. So now I'm gonna use it on her. It's easy for you to say and be like, oh, this is all for nothing. And what's the point? You missed the point that this man is not going to wake up tomorrow morning and go to work, hug his wife, probably, say what's up to his homies, or just getting up and getting ready for the day. So it's easy for you to say, what's the point? That is the point. And Teach, I didn't even catch the I didn't catch that point, but you was right when it came to shifting energy and see, it then also goes back to the people who follows her, who kind of understand what's going on, maybe even understand a good part of what is going on today. Can't understand. But when they hear this from her, they're probably gonna be like, you know what, she got a point. She got a point. But people who actually do have critical thinking and really got a grasp on what's happening can be like, you going all over the place. Because you went from what's the point of this? What's the point to, oh my gosh, now I can't go back to my childhood store that I used to hang with my homies at, or my school right here that I used to go to. Now that's burned down. So what's it? When it became about you. And then when you switch it off you, now you're pointing the blame at these protesters and looters. You're destroying my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. What's the point?
Because she doesn't understand the war. She does not understand that we are in a rumor of a war. And that's why it says rumor. Because it's like, is it true or is it not true? It's so vague. It's not concrete. You see? So it eludes people. There's some people that would agree. There's many different people that do agree that we are in war. Every time we see a vigilante or a police brutality of an unarmed person, they understand that we are at war. But then you have other people that just they have not understood. They may not have even been introduced to that concept, and they may see each incident as a separate incident versus constant casualties of war. So when you have different battles, they say, well, how many soldiers did we lose? We lost 100 soldiers in the battle of Armageddon.
Right.
And the battle of Adwa, how many soldiers? We only lost 50 soldiers. But in this case, because it's a rumor of a war, it's like we have George Floyd, we have Ahmaud Arbery, we have Botham Jean, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, but there's no report to say what soldiers went down in this war. We have all these unarmed men from all these different places that got killed.
Yep. And Philando
But they don't
Castile.
see it. Right. Exactly. We don't see them as casualties of war. We see these as individuals that got killed. So until we elevate our minds to see and understand or believe that the act of police brutality is a declared war on our several communities, we will always say, oh, they destroyed my school, they destroyed my favorite Target, they destroyed this, and it makes no sense, they're just thieves, they're just thugs. No, this is a casualty of war. And like I said earlier, contraband of war. Those are the spoils that the soldiers take when they're in war.
And there you have it. Let's see what else she going to spill out.
You have anarchists who have come into our city to, destroy. Over there on Lake Street, they were destroying the AutoZone. They were destroying the Target. They were coming through with chainsaws. I've never even seen a chainsaw in my real life. I've only seen chainsaws in movies. They were out there with fucking chainsaws. These anarchists, they came prepared. Had goggles, chainsaws, like gas masks. They came prepared to start anarchy. Let's break shit. Let's unlock shit because we know these folks are going to run in and go get stuff. And y'all are not even looking at the bigger picture. It's a setup. People are live streaming their crimes. Like, do y'all think that when this is all said and done, they're not going to go back and look at all the footage that y'all are posting on social media, bragging? And they're not going to match your faces and come knocking on your door?
Like, I'm going to stop her right there. I think that's a stretch. I'm not saying all the things she's saying is not true, but I think it's a stretch. Because knowing how they came in and burned down that precinct, you think they're going to, let's say if I did it, went out there and I looted, and they know I was one of the people that burned down one of their precincts, you think they're going to come knocking at my door and want to arrest me? How ticked off I am? Or you really going to think the cops are that dumb to take that much of a risk? I mean, these are things where you're on a run, because we all get on the run when we talk about things. When you get on a run and then you go into no man's land like, yo, did I just say that? She's having that moment right now. Because I think she's giving the police officers a little bit too much credit. That's more of an FBI type of thing. They're the ones that... Go ahead,
well, it has been done. It has been done. People have done things, filming themselves, and the next thing you know, they have been apprehended. So, yeah, depending on who is actually doing it, like I kind of agree. She said when these people came in with chainsaws, look at the equipment. She's identifying the people with equipment. That equipment is something she never seen. So it's identifying the race of the people and why are they coming in to destroy these things. So now I can see why she may have been taking it personal, because she knows that the city is not being torn up by her people. The city is being torn up by outside agitators. But it's going to be reported that it's the people of Minneapolis that's tearing up the city. And I made a post on my Facebook page from the footage that I seen of them looting the Target. What I see, yeah, that majority of them were white, but the few blacks that I did see, they were just filming. Target was already empty. I said something about CP time. You know, the black looters got there on CP time. The store was already empty. Nothing for them to take. So the only thing they could do is videotape.
And just film like, hey, if y'all come knocking on my door, guess what? I'm just filming. Only reason you come knocking on my door is like, who was that in the film? Give me that film. But then also you gotta think to yourself too: is the cops really gonna go that get far to arrest those people? If you catch my drift.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I said, in the movie The Purge, they had their team come in. If that person is identified as part of the team, probably no. You know, they'll probably lose the footage, whatever. You know, special ops or whatever. So the bottom line is some people will be arrested. You know, you always have to have a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah. I've been seeing that nowadays. Yeah, they always got to be like that one, like, look, we getting everybody. Look, we got 2 or 3. And then you got 2 or 3, but then you got 100 over here. But look, we keeping it equal.
Right. So, you know, you had a sacrificial lamb, and you had our job. You know, we've been investigated, and we found this, and now, you know, we're gonna try these 2 or 3 people, and they're gonna get the maximum penalty, where the ones that's really guilty gets off. And then they say, well, we're closing the investigation.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, we know that narrative all too well.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and continue on with what she's saying.
Come on, grown adults. I woke up this morning, she caught me, my brother caught me. They're fucking up the Midway. They done looted the pawn shop. It's like, what is going on? What is going on? Like, why are we doing this? Like, I get the hurt, I get the animosity. Trust me, I get it. St. Paul, y'all didn't even go this hard for Philando. But y'all, it's almost like y'all just looking for an excuse to loot. Like, I get the South Side being upset. I don't agree with it, but I could even get it because it happened in their community. Come on. Really? Sunray's been looted. Signal Hills has been looted. The Midway is tore the fuck up. At this point, a lot of people are doing shit for social media.
Which goes back to what you were saying, Teach.
That's how I feel. You have to understand the protests won't work. They need change. It's like the Joker in the movie The Dark Knight. Yeah. It's a bunch of anarchists. When I tell you that vibe, and y'all know I'm an empath. So I'm like soaking in so many different energies. I got sick and got the spitting up, throwing up once we got away from there. It was so much just weird energy and hurt, anger. It's a buildup. It's a buildup. This is bigger. This is bigger than George Floyd. I don't care what anybody says. This is way, way bigger. This is a buildup. And this toxicity is spreading. I'm getting phone calls from people in Ohio talking about they're out there, you know, rioting and protesting, people in LA, different cities. This is spreading. This is not just about George. George was basically the powder keg. He was like the final thing that just lit it. This is a lot to do with COVID-19, people being on lockdown, people not knowing when they're going to get their next check, their jobs, but burning down the city is not going to make your job come back any quicker. We're about to be under martial law. We're about to be under martial law. Right now in the suburbs, they shut everything down. There are military tanks right now in my city where I stay, in the suburbs. We can't go to Walmart. We can't go to Target. If you didn't go grocery shopping, that shit's a fucking wrap. It's a wrap. Everything is shut down right now. I have not heard helicopters since I moved out of LA. I would hear helicopters every day in LA. I feel like I'm in LA right now. Helicopters have been just buzzing around our area all day. All day. It's now getting dark. It's getting bad. That's why I was like, you know what? I called the media guy. I said, we're not coming. I changed my mind. This energy is too crazy. I want to see the footage that you got. I'm glad he was at the press conference. You know, they were able.
I'm gonna go ahead and just end the video right there. So, Cheech, any final thoughts on that video?
I would say that what I picked up is that she's an empath, which means that she feels others' emotions, and she was able to tap into the energies and emotions of the people that were there, and she was clearly able to see that there were forces there that came for mischief. And I think that's where she's disturbed. She's not how could I say, she's not racializing it, but she is.
And not even realizing it.
Pardon me?
And she's not even realizing it.
Well, I think she is. I think she's very careful. I think she's very careful to she's basically she's couching her words. She knows what to say without it appearing to be racial. Like when she said she saw the chainsaws, a buzzsaw, she never saw one in her life. She only seen them in the movies. And when you see them in the movies, who was carrying them? So you had to really think through her statements to understand if she was saying like all these white people had chainsaws. That's what she said. Yeah. You know, because think of one movie. I can't think of one movie where
you saw a lot of black people with chainsaw. I can't think of any.
I can't think of any. And I go way back to in the 70s with the Chainsaw Massacre. You know, I was a little girl then. But nevertheless,
black exploitation movies.
Yeah, but not any chainsaw incidents. So anyways, concerning what she says, she was filled with anger and fear or disappointment because her home, her young upbringing, her teenage years for her has been destroyed. So she speaks as a resident or former resident, and seeing the landscape of her community change.
That's the only thing I can say right now, teachers. And speaking of that, any final thoughts before we head on out, Teach?
I would just like to tell you thank you for this forum. People need to hear it. I wish more people would come and participate. I'm really sorry for all of the young men and women that have lost their lives due to someone's aggressive policy towards them, be it the police or be it a citizen or vigilante. We have to recognize what a rumor of a war is. When we recognize what a rumor of a war, then we can execute a plan when that war is launched against us. Because right now, we're still what I call wild card, where an incident will happen and we react. And how many have we had? But yet, there's still not a plan. And we don't have a plan because we're not recognizing what we're really dealing with.
And I can't even add nothing on that one, Teach. But only thing I can say is this. I don't think this is going to be the last of these riots. Like what she said, they're happening in LA, they're happening in Ohio, obviously happening in Minnesota, happening in New York. I would not be surprised if this does actually starts becoming a trend. I wouldn't be surprised if it start happening here in Washington. But something has gotten started. Question is, what will be done? Because I guarantee you, since we are in the presidential season, this how this current administration is going to react, and how Joe Biden, how he plans on reacting if he was in power, is going to tell a whole lot come election night. And right now, everything seems to favor Mr. Biden, even though he said if you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
he got overconfident, and he knows black people love Obama, and he's really trying to just kind of sail in on Obama's coattail. And he's messing himself up. He's talking too much.
And he got a large lead right now. Why ruin it by doing something like that? So Biden, if somebody or anybody's watching right now, here's a bit of advice. I'm not even going to tell you that what you said was out of line. You know that there was out of line because he typed up the apology. From now on, you should go on black media more than anything. You need to have a second go at the Breakfast Club. I don't know if that was Charlamagne the God Show or the Breakfast Club. You need to go back, have an actual professional interview, like if you was on CNN, because I think black media, even though I'm kind of going off the rails of what I'm trying to get at, but going back to the point, with him saying that remark, you better go on all black medias and straighten out your act, one. And then number two, with this going on with the pandemic, is going to determine who's going to be our next president of these United States. And that would do it for the premiere of Damn Entertainment News. Once again, Teach, thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you for joining me once again. And also I want to apologize for everybody for the last minute show. Next time I will put it on the calendar and let y'all know in advance. Teach, once again, thank you for being on the show with me. Thank you so very, very much. You are always knowledgeable and also give us the real view, your truth, nothing but the truth. So help you. And I'm not talking about
Thank you for having me.
So once again, ladies and gentlemen, next time I'm gonna have Teach back once again, and we're gonna start having people come in, give your questions, and join into the discussion. It's not just going to be me and Teach. We want you to also participate in this show, not only just leave a comment. Teach, you wouldn't mind that?
No, I wouldn't mind it at all.
Okay. If we have a show Saturday, I will let you know. But other than that, it's time for me to head on out. I've been your host, Donnell Monte Morris, here with Anita. Oh, wrong way. Here with Anita Joe, a.k.a. I call her Teach, y'all. So if y'all call her Teach, just call her Teach. This has been Damn Entertainment News. Please, y'all, stay safe and take care of each other. I'm out. Catch y'all later. Bye-bye. Teach, once again, thank you.
Thanks for having me.